Stop linking your dashboard.
Alright, welcome folks to episode 6 of At What Cost. Sorry about the slight delay, but the World Cup is on, and the match between the US and Portugal was kind of taking up everybody's time here. Azza, you here? Azaraki? Doo-doo. Azza, can you hear me?
Yo, I can't hear you in Skype, by the way.
Oh. That would be because of
There
this.
you go.
Ha! Fixed it.
I gotcha. Okay. Because I actually had the stream audio up, and I heard you on the stream, and like, wow, Braun is really quiet. And then I realized that I'm hearing you from the stream, so you probably had a really long pause where I didn't say anything, huh?
That was like 3 or 4 seconds of mic mix-ups. Anyways, thanks for
That
joining us,
last
guys.
game.
Oh god.
Oh,
God.
USA versus oh my god.
I don't know if anybody out there watching is a sports fan or is a soccer fan, but dear God, that goal.
That goal.
That
Oh,
final goal in the stoppage. Basically, U.S. is up 2-1. Portugal decides that they need to score a goal, stopping us from advancing and keeping themselves alive in the last 30 seconds of the last minute of
like
5-minute
the last 10
stoppage.
seconds. I mean,
yeah, it was the last 10 seconds. It was.
that was ridiculous.
Oh dear God! All right, that aside, guys.
Also, if any of you guys follow StarCraft, MLG earlier today, I didn't see this, but my friend did, and he's telling me all about it on Facebook. But apparently, Scarlet faced Dawn Regu, and she off-raced. She played Protoss and won the series against Dawn Regu.
The Queen of Blades did not play Zerg. What is?
Yeah, and she beat Dawn Regu too. So today has just been like all around esports and real sports. Things have been going on.
Today is a day of surprises. All right. Well, We're not going to give you guys too many insane surprises here on At What Cost today. We're actually going to go fairly straightforward. New patch came out, new shaper came out, Viridian. So we're going to go through two matches of Viridian games. One of him in lane as a gladiator, and the other one of him as a hunter. Let's get into it.
That sounds good.
All right,
Give me that countdown, please.
and we will start at 0. I had it set to 8 seconds for some reason. We'll start at 0 in 3, 2, 1. So if you guys are unfamiliar with Viridian, if you guys are new to Dawngate, if you guys haven't gotten a chance to play him, or for some odd reason you've managed to not see him, Viridian is the new shaper who has come out. He is a melee ranged assassin / engager. He's a little weird. He has the potential to build tanky enough to engage a little bit outside of just making assassin-based kills. He's adrenaline-based, which is sort of an offshoot of the rage mechanic that Freya operates on. And he has a bunch of interesting skills. His Q is a knife that he throws and sticks into someone. It causes him to do increased percentage damage to them, so going up, I think it maxes out at about 12.5% increased damage to a single target. His W is a double casted dash ability. Cast it once and dash, and your next basic attack will do increased damage. You have to land that basic attack to be able to dash the second time, so it requires a little bit of extra play there to make use of his full mobility. And then his E is a heal, and by heal, it uses up his adrenaline. His passive is that his adrenaline heals him for the number of points of adrenaline he has. It heals based upon a base value plus the amount of power he's accumulated. And using your E will do a bunch of damage. It will remove the knife if there's a knife in a target that you'd use it on, and it will consume all of your rage, so it'll be like an instant in-lane heal. And your ultimate is summon a giant whale that will spear a target and push them forward, doing a bunch of damage.
I'm so glad you said all that because I have not played Viridian, so I don't really know anything about him.
I've played a lot of Viridian the last few days. I've been trying to get a real hold of him because I think he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll just leave it to you to buy and to play all the new shapers when they come out.
Until
I get to the point where I can actually get enough Destiny to be able to do that.
Yep. So lane Viridian is a little bit tricky. It's like playing lane Kindred. You're going to get abused. So first thing you do is you go with health, get some potions. Main skill you want to max in lane is Q. You can start W. I've seen people do that. I like to start Q because I like it for the ranged ability. It's a ranged skill. You throw this knife. So that helps you a little bit with CSing. Just because he's a melee shaper, that becomes a bit of a problem. You throw the knife in someone, smack them a few times, does a little bit of extra damage. That's pretty much the way that that ability operates. It's tricky in terms of targeting, though. As you see, there's that little spinning circle around them. It targets the last thing you were attacking, so it takes a little bit of getting used to.
And I can see that you guys are up against Mara Zalgus, which, as a lane, has a little bit of an early power spike, but after that just sort of phases off really, really quickly, because there's not really much Mara can do to help Zalgus out. You know, she's got a little bit of poke early game, which is where that early game power spike comes from. But as the game progresses, you know, she can CC people, and she can, you know, she has her snare and her bristles that's slow. But that doesn't really help Zalgus too much, because all Zalgus really wants to do is get down poke and get down burst.
Yeah, so Mina, again, always great with pretty much every assassin. Mina Ferris, Mina Kindra, she works the same way as she does with Viridian. So you saw when Viridian actually takes his blades apart, that's after he's dashed once. And you can use that to help you CS a little bit in lane. Pretty much the best way to beat a lane Viridian is to out-farm him. He's going to do well against a Zalgus because Zalgus doesn't have really strong farm potential. You want to beat a Viridian, force him under tower and poke him there. Don't try and poke him out in the middle of the lane where he's going to have the potential to try and fight you. Force him under tower where it's hard for him to farm. And, you know, make that your priority. Do that and you'll be able to abuse a Viridian more easily than you will, you know, out in the middle of the lane.
So far, I'm not really seeing too much action, and it looks like you guys actually had to swap Mara came top and Amaranth bot, which is a much better lane combination because you basically have two poke slash burst mages in the same lane, and they can synergize really well. If, say, Zalgus were to get his snare, then there's, a ton of straight up burst damage that both of them can do, and it's generally better than Mara because first of all, Amaranth has a built-in escape in her kit, so she doesn't really need to worry about escaping too much. And as long as Zalgus positions well, they should be fine there too. So they've got a lot of poke.
Yeah, it's a little bit. They started to realize they needed to poke and push me, but at this point, it would have been better if for them if I was up against their AD carry who can just force farm the wave a lot harder. Than otherwise. And even there, Zalgus doesn't hit me that hard. He's not gonna kill me. He's not gonna force me to back up and farm. So for the most part, I'm pretty much getting a fairly easy lane here.
Yeah, and it looks like it as well. And not for the fact that they're not trying to poke you either, but actually, it's a really good play by Mara to go in for it, and really good follow up by you. So you guys do get the kill there, but
I think I
I
die.
actually, yeah, you die. I saw this part earlier, and for the most part, I think Mara should have actually gone with you back because Mara's one of those shapers that can really help you survive through a gank
Mina.
like that. Mina, yeah, sorry. Mina can really help you out in a situation like that where some supports just simply cannot, or some tacticians rather. Some tacticians would be better off going the long way around and just defending themselves. But if Mina would have come with you, then you guys would have had you would have had a much greater chance of survival because she could jump on you, shield you, and do all that great stuff.
Oh man, this was actually my first Viridian game. I built potency like a scrub. Don't do that. Whatever you guys do, don't build an early potency on Viridian. I've learned since then that Conquest is really his key first item. Conquest along with Desire to give you a little bit of extra armor in the lane and the lifesteal. Potency is hilarious if you have like two early kills and you just jump on people and make them die. Because the early health percentage damage cuts through pretty much everybody's MR. Just don't build potency. Don't do it. Oh god, I shouldn't have used this match as an example. It's so bad. But potency has its value towards late game on Viridian. It's pretty much what helps you be a tank buster and take things out late game. It also helps you burst straight through most of the mages. So like if this were 20 minutes later, I had like 3 kills and a conquest already in my pocket, sure. Potency would be a decent item here. Otherwise, it's pretty aggressive, which I only think I built because I saw someone else do it and I was like, "Oh yeah, potency Viridian, it's a thing."
And so far, the weird thing about looking at this lane is that there really isn't too much happening. Like Kagan hasn't been here all that much. Petrus has only been there once, so for the most part, it's just a farm fest. And like you said, you have a heal, so you have a decent amount of sustain and good juke there, by the way. So the lane is basically just a farm lane. Their team can farm at a distance. You can sort of farm at a distance, but even if you do need to go close, you can just heal it all back.
Yeah, the thing about Viridian healing is it's you gotta be continuously be basic attacking. If you're not basic attacking, you're gonna die. Like there are moments where you do eventually need to back off the farm if you're not gonna be able to safely hit it, because otherwise you're just gonna walk into too much free poke. Granted, I'm up against a Zalgus, so that's a lot easier for me to be able to get away with things. I really just have to dodge their abilities, and their guaranteed poke is down to 1 Amaranth skill. That's about it. And like here, I'm pretty low. I need to kind of back up. I'm able to heal off my adrenaline, and the other thing is you will passively heal off adrenaline. If you build up a nice stack of adrenaline and back up, you will heal off of that. It's as adrenaline drains out of you, you heal. And that was a nice hook by Koggin. We were able to pick that up pretty much for free. I didn't need to ult, although I could have. And here I've got a huge stack of adrenaline. I will probably pop my E soon, heal through it, and you wanna heal mid wave with it so that you heal and then build up another stack of adrenaline pretty quickly so that you can heal again and sort of double stack it.
One thing that we can touch on are power spikes as well, because you saw that as soon as Braun hit level 6, he started farming up a lot closer. He started saying, all right, there's not much you guys can do to me anymore. If you try to jump on me, I can turn around and kill you guys because I have my ultimate now. Or you can just back off with your ultimate. Either way, that works. And with that, you saw him get right up in the middle of the minion wave, and even though they poked him out, he could still back off and get ready for the next fight.
Yep, and picked up a kill there. So that's his ultimate. You summon the giant whale. Uh, One thing to keep in mind with the whale is the whale can actually push people over walls. I think we'll see that in the second game. A good example of that, I think I pushed someone out of Parasite Pit, but you can actually physically move someone over a wall if they're close enough to it, kind of like knocking people through with Lee Sin kicks in League of Legends. There's a couple of other games that have been able to do it. So I picked up my early potency like a scrub. And just, oh dear God, I should have rushed my conquest like a smart person.
Smart. Yeah,
God.
Conquest is a really good power spike, especially when you're as spammy a champion and assassiny a champion as Shaper, sorry, as a Viridian, because he's got multiple dashes. His Q I think is on like a 4-second cooldown. It's not that much.
It actually reduces with haste. So the way the Q works is you make a knife every 8 seconds on base level, and that slowly reduces with leveling and with haste. So you eventually get to a point where you're making a knife about every 4 seconds.
Yeah, so it's a very spammy ability, and you're going to be dashing all around. On top of that, your basic attacks already get empowered after you dash in the first place. So why not make them, twice as powerful with Conquest? And that's a really good pickup on most assassins. Even I get it on Kindra.
Yeah, one nice thing you can do is you can dash forward, land a Q to get the to get the bonus percentage damage, and then hit your empowered strike. And that's just so much easier with a conquest because you've got so much extra movement speed. See, like right there, I was able to use my second dash fairly late. It actually holds for a good amount of time before you have to use it again, especially if you time it out. So, like, you take the longest amount of time you can between, press it, you get like 6 seconds before you have to actually use the skill, and then like another 3 or 4 seconds before you have to press the next one, and then before you actually have to use the basic attack. There's a lot of good timing there, and using that to your advantage and making sure, like, you basic attack someone when you need to get the dash out can have a lot of value.
Okay, so I have to say, I don't know why Kogan blitzed to get to the gank. Like, he wasn't up in the gank, and you guys went in, and he blitzed to try to catch up. Try not to do that as the jungler, because Blitz, even though it is a fairly substantial movement speed buff, it's got a really long cooldown, and it's really hard to make a gank happen with it that wouldn't happen anyway. If you know what I mean. Like, if your lanes already have CC, then you can, walk up towards the bush and ask your lanes to CC them, and then you can be you have a guaranteed in there. But if they already see you coming, adding Blitz won't really do much. And on top of that, you're not going to have Blitz for any other fights that you're going to end up doing, or you're not going to have Blitz if you decide to go for a tower dive. So just try not to use it while you're trying to get to a gank.
Yeah, another thing keep in mind on Viridian, try and go into fights with full adrenaline. It'll let you, or full, half, some adrenaline, so that when you're in the middle of a fight and you're basic attacking, you pop mid fight. This huge chunk of healing. Everyone's just like, oh crap, I thought I had him.
Yeah, so I think team fights are going to start soon. I remember this game is surrendered, so their team surrenders, actually. I'm sorry for anyone who cares that much about spoilers. It's like, oh god,
Spoilers.
this is an analysis show and they told us who won. Oh, and it's like watching a professional cast and knowing that... No, no, it's not. But anyway, this game is going to be a pretty short one. But we will start team fighting soon, so you can see how Viridian works in that respect, too.
Yeah, a lot of what I wanted to show with this specific match was here's how you get a sense for how Viridian can operate in lane. Some of his limitations. I've actually been starting to see him played a little bit as a tactician, with Desi, Desecrator, farm, and using Viridian as a tactician. I've also seen him with Amaranth, as the tactician, or yeah, Amaranth farming with him as the tactician, just because there's still a lot of potential to get the harass off with your knives to get the tactician bonus, um, and you don't have to worry about taking as much early upfront damage.
Although the weird thing I find about that is that you can, as a melee shaper, you do get a double that extra bonus on a minion if you miss a previous minion, which helps because your Q can farm at range. So you can still get you can do a fairly good job farming as a gladiator there as well. So it's
Yeah,
weird to see him tactician.
Yeah, no, it's I've mostly just been seeing people, people trying to experiment and figure out what they can do with him. Um, yeah, so I would say I think my next skill is Flash. Yeah, Flash, Blink, very very good on this guy. Normally, I advise against Blink as an escape summoner. They're generally better ones, but this guy's an assassin. It helps to be able to instantly jump on them and lay in that extra bit of damage, especially if you dash forward and can't get close enough. If you blink on top of them, hit them once, and then get that second dash off, you'll be able to make up so much more distance than you would with a movement speed, and you can jump to the other side of them and whale them back into the team. It has a lot of value to run blink on him, at least as a second ability, if not first.
On most assassins, that's also the case too, because for part of an assassin's job is to carry dive, and what better way to get there than to blink into it? Even with blitz, you're still showing your hand. You're still it still takes a longer amount of time to get to your location with blitz than with blink. And even if they can't CC you while you have blitz, there you can still if you see a Nisa or Varion or Makella, they all have movement speed or some sort of escape ability, and those will help them get out of a gank. So if you run blitz, they can see that coming and they can start running away or repositioning themselves. With the blink, it's much harder to see coming, especially if you have a blink dash.
Let's see.
Also, if you guys in chat have any questions about Dawngate in general, Viridian in specific, or either if just any questions for either of us, feel free to ask them in chat. We are watching chat and we'll answer them as soon as we see them.
Yeah. So one thing that the potency gives you is this stupid amount of harass early, but yeah, dive, whale, kill, second kill. That's what Viridian can do. Essentially, right there, they are two, once Amaranth dashes, fairly immobile champions. If there's somebody you can jump on top of, you the fact that you have a double dash after hitting someone means you have to hit someone. Oh, this is a really good escape, I think. I think this is the escape of the century. Escape of destiny. Yeah. So the other thing that people that I didn't mention about his W, which I was about to. So the dash activates a second time after you hit them. You also get a slight movement speed bonus when you dash. So you dash, hit them once. You still have that movement speed bonus, for about 3-4 seconds. You can then wait it out and then dash again, and just the amount of distance that can be covered is insane.
So, as you saw right there, Petrus actually made a little bit of a mistake as well. I think he might have just forgotten that he had impulse or something, but he used or he targeted someone and impulse kicked in. He dashed that person, but didn't really do anything to follow it up. Petrus's cooldowns are fairly low, especially if you can spin to win and hit people with your E, because that lowers the rest of his cooldowns. So I'm sort of puzzled as to why he couldn't actually capitalize off of that impulse. But at the same time, like you said, Viridian's got great escape mechanic as well.
Yeah. Also, another thing to keep in mind, and this is actually something you'll see with Moya, and you can probably attest to this pretty well. When you dash really, really close to a wall, the hitbox will actually curve you around the wall sometimes.
Petrus can do that too, yeah.
Yeah, keep that in mind when you're dashing with Viridian, because you can sort of slip dodge around a wall, and it'll give you a little bit of extra distance if you time it properly.
It's sort of what happens if any of you are League of Legends players, where Khazadin's Rift Walk happens, where you get a little bit of extra distance if you can clear the better portion of a wall. It sort of operates the same in Dawngate, but it's not as forgiving. You have to clear the wall more than you would in League of Legends, but it still works.
Yeah, it's just like a little bit around the corners. It can be really, really helpful. One thing to keep in mind about Viridian's Whale, it really doesn't do that much damage. Its damage is pretty good late game, and its damage is pretty good if you're hitting level 16 before anyone else. But its damage is not what really hurts. It's the damage you get from the basic attack following up after you ult. So, you ult, get that conquest proc, and that's the hit that really hurts. That's the way I obliterated her, was the conquest proc after my basic attack and then my dash. Yeah.
So we have the la latter end of a team fight there, and like you said, you do a lot of damage as Viridian, whales, and all that stuff, and you come out with a quadra kill there, and everything you said really took account into what happened during that fight and how you managed to put out so much damage. Millis, Viridian Jungle, we actually have two games that we're going to feature in At What Cost today, and the second game, the one you'll see right after this, is all about Viridian Jungle. So stick around for another about I think 10 minutes, and we're going to get right into that game.
Yeah.
Also, Parizo, yes.
Parizo knows.
Never
Parizo
start
knows.
blue as a jungler. I've already mentioned it so many times before, but if you start haste buff as a jungler, it's the least optimal route. You have to go down and then or go down to your resilience if you're on the top right side, and then go all the way back up to the top.
And yes, pure adrenaline. I think Money Pigs is on Saturday, right?
I don't know about Money Pigs. I've never actually
They're
seen the show.
really or wait no he's asking if they're on Sunday. They're really late at night. They're like 10. They're an hour after we finish up. We finish up at about 9, and they're an hour later. And I don't know if they're on Sundays. Normally, you'd see the Money Pigs post in the Dawngate Reddit, so I double check that.
Yeah, and I can actually take a look at that right
Yeah,
now, I think.
I'll keep up with what's going on.
Yeah,
Um,
Money Pigs podcast is Mondays,
Mondays.
11:30 Eastern.
So yeah, they're on Monday, so they're the day after us. So you get At What Cost on Sundays and Money Pigs on Mondays. So yeah, at this point I've got Potency and I've got Conquest. I now hit fairly stupid hard, and I've started to pick up some armor penetration. Passion is a fairly underrated item. Not many people build it on a lot of shapers. It's great on Viridian because all of your skills do fairly good damage. The bonus lifesteal is really good, and Viridian is very much about skill, basic attack, skill, basic attack, skill, basic attack, and just wail by it's just the movement speed is crazy. You saw me walk all the way around her while like right after my dash. Granted, she blinked away, but like gonna kill him. I don't know if I died for the second one. No, I don't get the second one. Yeah, and there's the surrender. So, the amount of ability I'm able to just like I hit her, walked all the way around the backside of her, and then smacked her in the face.
Yep, and I got the information on the Money Pigs podcast on the Dawngate subreddit, which, if any of you are new players, that's a really good place to check out and ask whatever questions you want. I know a lot of people there who are really helpful, and I usually check stuff out there myself and just try to provide input wherever I can. Uh,
You guys
and
will
that
also find people talking about all the sources for information, about all the places to find guides, places to watch video, and then you get lots and lots of content put up there.
All right, so this is the second game. We're going into it, and Braun here is playing Jungle Viridian, so we can talk about that a little bit. And I was actually a little bit sad at the end of last game because I didn't really get to land any God Hammers in team fights. But I think, yeah, I'm playing Reyna in
You
this
have at
one,
least
so
one God
hopefully,
Hammer in this.
yeah, I really hope I do because God Hammers are so much fun.
All right, so for my other build, I was running sort of a standard AD carry-ish build. It was sort of just like a standard like wreck them in the face build, straight up damage. My loadout was a little bit of power, a little bit of penetration, some life steal, a little bit of haste. Fairly straightforward. This I'm actually running something complicated. It's a build I stole from Sheebs. Now this is one of Sheebs' jungle builds that I saw him using. It's Outrider Brawler something else. It's another really big spirit stone. You can basically fit 3 of these huge spirit stones. One
Would
gives
it
you
be
movement.
Adventurer?
Adventurer. There we go. So that's going to give me a little bit of tankiness as well as some additional move speed. So again, you start Q for jungle, but you don't max it the same as you do in lane. The reason you start Q is because the percentage damage is just very, very useful, no matter who you're playing as. And then you have 2 options of starting either E or W. It depends on how healthy you come out of the first buff. That first buff didn't wind up too healthy out of it. I'm gonna want my E. I'm gonna heal up to full just because I have the adrenaline, but I had to use up a potion, which I really would not have wanted to use. Instant smite on it. I'm not the greatest of junglers, But in terms of jungle Viridian, you want to start your Q, get E, and you're gonna max W, and that's what's really going to be that's your gank mechanic. That's your gap closer to get in range. You don't really have any CC. You pretty much just have burst.
Yeah, and so your jungle path looks fairly standard. Basically, you start at either your power or your resilience buff. In this case, he started resilience because Viridian is not a tank, so he doesn't start with very particularly amazing base stats, so that'll just help him survive throughout the jungle. Then he goes to haste, then takes one small camp, and then goes straight to power. And one of the reasons you do this is because if you use Vanquish on the resilience camp or the power camp, whichever you do first, uh, and you clear haste, you clear one more camp, and you go to your third buff, your Vanquish will be up by the time it gets low, and right here we see it has 4 seconds left off of cooldown, and as soon as it gets low enough to kill, he's going to be able to vanquish it right about now. So that's one reason you do it, and the second reason is because it helps you get to level 4 after you finish your clear as well, and it's just a really good way to make sure your time is as efficient as possible in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean there are the full clears, the Kogging clears. Am I up against a Kogging in this game? No, it's Petrus. And I think we're gonna die here. Or did we get first blood? We got first blood and then we gave up a kill, so it was even. We
Yeah, it was
killed.
actually a pretty good play because what Nisa did was Nisa flashed into danger, but it allowed her to pick up the kill before first blood as well. Because given how hard they dove her, she was going to be dead either way. So she said, "All right, I'm going to take a kill with me, and it's going to be first blood. So it's a little bit more worth it for us than them."
Yeah, so again, Viridian Jungle has no CC, so you really, really need CC in your lanes. We've got slows and bubbles in bot lane. We've got hammers and knockbacks and slows and more slows. And
Just have a Reyna in top
yeah,
lane.
we got a Reyna in top lane. That's really more than enough. So for the most part, Viridian, you have to spend a lot of time jungling unless someone's out of position. It kind of sucks, especially when you're up against something like a Kagen. I hate Kagen. I will always hate Kagen. No one should be allowed to full clear and do more damage than me, building just tank stats. So that's something you need to be wary of on Viridian. Keep in mind that although you are this nice little bursty assassin, anybody with tank stats until you start getting a little bit of armor pen is gonna wreck your face. Um, I don't know what we can do to this Mara. I think she can just walk away. Yeah, she can just walk away. Because at this point, I don't have my ultimate to follow up. All I have is a armor. I don't really have any real good stats right now. I can't do that much. Um, so for now, I really just have to keep on trying to clear and farm and get myself to a point where I can pick up my conquest and start actually being a threat.
Yep. And right now, we're at a little bit of a lull in terms of the jungle time, especially when you're playing a shaper that doesn't really have a great gank uh, before level 6. Because right now, there's not really too much you can do without hard CC, and even the lanes don't really have great hard CC until they get going as well, unless you decide to gank top lane, but you're also in bottom lane, so all you can really do is put out some damage, and even then you haven't really hit your stride in terms of the damage spike. So at this point you're just more focused on clearing the jungle more than trying to find ganks, which, is a fairly standard routine. If you're someone like Petrus, then you can, gank 7 times in a minute once you hit level 4.
Now here, their Nisa really should have run faster. I was actually able to sort of like hook back around, which means they didn't have me warded. We pick up a good kill, and there you saw dash, basic attack, dash, basic attack, follow up. I
It
should
probably
probably,
would as a lane bush.
yeah, I probably should have started with a Q in that engagement. That would have resulted in some more damage. This was I think my second game on Viridian. But always see if possible, start your combo with a Q. You get that Q down, you're gonna burst for a lot harder. You're going to get the knife back when you E off the combo. That's one thing that helps to keep in mind when you're clearing for one, as well as when you're fighting. If you Q them and then E them, you get the knife back, and that means there's an extra knife in your pocket to throw out. The knife doesn't do too much damage, but it can be the last bit of like it's as good as an ignite in terms of someone running away. It's like that kind of like last bit, tick of damage.
So The viewers don't actually see this, but at the bottom of the screen, I see your camera while you were actually playing this game. I have to ask, how many hats do you have?
One.
One. It looks like two because you're wearing a different hat now than you were that day.
Same hat.
Really, this hat's black,
No,
and
just
your
darker in
hat
the
right
room.
now just darker in the
It's
room.
just
Okay.
actually wait. No, I have two, but this is the
Okay.
one I wear. They're
Right, I
not
was gonna say,
they're the same hat though. They are the same hat.
very rarely will you see Braun without his hat. I'll just say that right
My
now.
hat's kind of my thing. Like,
It is.
I lost my hair when I went into college. Like, I got to my sophomore year of college, and my receding hairline was getting so atrocious. I was like, screw it, shave off all my hair. And then my head was cold, so I was like, damn, I need a hat.
Oh, is that why? I thought it was like, yeah, but you can rock the bald look.
No,
But
yeah, no.
if,
I
if
mean, I
if your
can.
head's cold, then
I cut
don't have
my
a hat.
hair's cut right now, so I can take my hat off, and the stream can see me with my hat off. I just like I don't often have my hat off.
And you just leave it as a surprise. It'll be like Master Chief's mask.
Nah, it's too late. Hat's already off.
Oh, really?
Hat's going
Damn.
back on.
I remember someone actually revealed
There's the moment.
what happens when Master Chief takes off his mask. In the original game, someone actually just like hacked into the whatever and saw the cutscene, and it actually turns out that underneath his mask is another mask. So he takes off his helmet, and his helmet's still there. So
That's
there's
pretty good.
there's that. Anyway, back to the game.
The hat was
And
off,
even
and the hat
even
is
then,
back.
not too much happened while we were talking about that, going off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Viridian Jungle. Unless your team is creating a lot of plays, you've got a lot of additional CC in lane. Like, every lane. Like, if we had a Renzo in bot lane, then we'd have enough CC that I'd be ganking all the time. Otherwise, you have to spend some time in the jungle. And it really sucks when you're up against someone with a lot stronger of a clear than you. But it winds up being value because you get to, if you've done your job properly and you've picked up you've made a few ganks and you've put on the pressure, you come into about mid-game as an assassin who's basically sort of had his way in terms of items. Like right now, I'm okay in items. I've got a couple of base items and I've got, my abolition. Once I have my conquest, which I'm not too far off. I'm a camp and a couple ganks away. You start to spike, and it's as if this assassin was allowed to just sort of chill for a long time. It's the same effect you get out of a good jungle Kindra. It's like all of a sudden Kindra has shown up, and she now hits decently hard.
And past that, I think we might be getting some action going at some point, but everything is fairly even right now. What is generally going through your mind when you see that Petrus right there? Because for
I
me,
wanted to
I
kill
would just
him.
be like counter gank.
I
Yeah, we can
wanted
counter
to kill him. We sort of go for it. You see how much. Watch this engagement. So I'm gonna hit him with the knife. Basic attack, E, basic attack. I cut him to less than half with just my QWEW combo. Like if Viridian's damage is there, we probably could have picked that fight. We would have had to do it very, very quickly as Mara shows up for a little bit of shenanigans. But his damage is there, and you want a little bit of penetration on him in terms of loadout if you can get it. Otherwise, he's got a fair bit of just raw burst. But yeah, unless you're up against a straight tank, Viridian can pretty much kill anybody.
Yeah, especially when you get to this sort of point where, as soon as you go back, you'll be at a fairly decent power spike in terms of items, and you've already got your level 6, which is already a pretty big advantage in terms of how you can position yourself and how you can reposition other people, which is very good for isolating targets or just straight up initiating a fight. Although in this game, since we have Reyna, generally you'll see Braun try to save his ultimate to out-position someone, basically dive into the back line and ult their carry forward rather than initiate, because we already have Reyna, which is straight up, I think, just the best initiator in the game.
Yeah, the other thing you can do with Viridian is isolate a target, like you're about to see me do here. Now, here's one of the greatest things about the whale. Well, I'm able to jump over the wall and get onto Petrus. Now, we don't kill Petrus here, but I isolated a target and took him out of the fight. That's going to result in us picking up a decent kill. We'll get one, maybe two. Yeah, we'll get 2 off that. So even though I don't kill Petrus, I isolated him, I dealt him a bunch of damage, and I did it very, very quickly. Like, that was really... I'm gonna die to this. God, those rockets are just destructive. I'll die to Ferris because I tried to 1v1 another assassin without my ultimate. But as you saw, Viridian does a very good job of isolating. One of his other great skills is, up against a Volek, alt the Volek. You can push him out of a fight.
Oh
You
God,
can
I
push him
remember
over a
that
wall
game.
if you do it properly. But you can take a Volek or any sort of high damage priority target out of a fight better than anybody else in the game. Yeah, Petrus has his punch, but people can sort of, skirt back the moment the punch animation ends and start running back towards you. Or change direction. The Viridian, if that thing lands, they're going to go the length of a flash and a half, and you're going to be able to follow up on top of them. If they're a squishy target, for the most part, they're going to be chunked to half and forced out of the fight. And that's the great thing about Viridian. If you do that at the beginning of a fight, force either, a really huge tank out of the fight or force a carry out of the fight, you can then turn back and you're in the back of the enemy team and start sticking knives in their back.
I actually kind of just want to get a comp together that's Viridian, Petrus, who else? Renzo, Koggin, that's 4, and Cerulean, and just play pinball. Like, I think that would be a really fun comp.
So
We
four
should do it.
four tanks and an assassin?
Well, yeah, but the
Bursty
rest
Petrus,
is...
Bruiser Petrus.
No, but the rest is like, you have your whale, Petrus has his kick, Cerulean has his flip, Koggin has the hook, and Renzo has his ultimate statue. Like, you could play pinball. Right?
Alright, watch
No,
this
am I
right
the only
here.
one? Okay.
QWW. That was her at half health. That is how scary you can be with a Viridian if you're playing it properly. And as long as you land your Q first. That is key.
I would argue that Reyna is at least on par, if not better than Amaranth and Moya, because the thing about Reyna is that she's got a very fast-moving projectile that is an AoE ultimate initiation. Both Amaranth and Moya's initiations are also ultimates, so they don't really have any leeway in terms of cooldown or frequency of their initiations. And I do get that Amaranth has her dash ulti, which can help initiate from range. But on top of that, Reyna can also follow up the initiation with more CC and more CC and more CC. So it's not just the single initiation move that I'm thinking of, but it's also the follow-up. Because if Amaranth goes in and initiates, but her team can't follow up well enough, then she's as good as dead because she's, used her dash to get closer and then used her ultimate to initiate, and then she's left like a fish out of water, basically. I'm actually kind of proud that I came up with that. Right.
Yes.
That's a good
that
one.
That
too.
one
Like,
wasn't bad. The other thing about Reyna is she can sit there after she goes forward and do something about it. Emma's, unless you blinked forward, your dash is your only in and out, and you're gonna be kind of stuck, and you gotta be careful after that. Moya I do like, who does do more damage, and I think I'm gonna die here. Nope. Yeah, I die. And that Petrus got away, and that was bullshit. He should have been dead. He should have been speared to the wall and stuck there, and should have not been able to move. And
face checks of doom.
I want a stun. I want a guaranteed stun if I whale someone into a wall.
Face check of doom.
Well, I mean, I was already in the bush. Like, that wasn't a face check. That was like me thinking I could kill him and get out of there.
Okay. Whatever. And anyway, we will continue on without him. And I don't really think we're going to get much off of this just because their team is too fast. Yeah, we're just going to end up backing off. So at this point, most of us are saying, all right, don't fight.
Oh my god, it's time to duel!
it.
It's time to duel!
And here I'm like, why is she doing this? Why is she trying to duel the Ferris? And why did she get caught out there? But the rest of our team actually rotated fairly well, and we got some damage down. But all in all, Nisa should not have been able to, or should not have been trying to make that play and catch the other Nisa out right there.
She almost had it. It was time
Well,
to duel.
she killed the Nisa, so it was a 1-for-1. But at the same time, she died, and we gave up a decent amount of control for it.
Yeah, and then they took my buff, and I was sad. And I was sad. What?
I wouldn't say Reyna is the worst shaper in high-level play. That's pretty false in my opinion. That's the great part about any game, is that things are opinions. Like, there is no straight-up worst shaper.
I mean,
in the
Reyna's
game.
got bad follow-up damage. Her damage is bad for following up. Her CC is still pretty good.
She's got great CC and she's got great peel. Like Braun Braun and I are both about diamond, and I say about because I am sitting 5 points off of
I'm
diamond.
diamond right now.
He's diamond, and I'm sitting 5 points off of diamond in terms of the
I'll
rankings right there.
say
And
this:
I know that
Emma's a
I know
better
that
follow
MMR
up.
solo queue MMR is not indicative of a straight up good player right there. But both Braun and I do play at a high level, so I wouldn't restrict something and say
Ooh,
I think my
this is gonna be
opinion's
good though.
right because I play at a high level and you guys don't. I don't think that's a very good opinion, or that's not a good way to try to get your opinion across.
Also, keep in mind this is also preference. We just as it, we play together as a team. We like that specific combo of having, you know, Reyna over Amaranth in a lot of situations. Also, I'm more of the Amaranth player. So we're going to get that. And here's another example of just the power of the whale. Just, I took Petrus away. I took him away. He wanted to stay and I wouldn't let him. I took him to his room. And that's just so much fun.
All right, so
No, most team none of the pro teams do pick Reyna. None
and
of them run her because that is high level competitive play where they're able to coordinate every single piece of their actions, and Amaranth in that situation is more value in high level competitive play. I'll agree with that. And I've watched a lot of their games. I've watched FDATS and LFDH and BOB and Where's Paris plays. I've seen them and they play Emma, and that is definitely true. But that's
anyhow,
because they can control. They know how to control those situations.
even still, part of it might be personal preference. Like you can't exactly know unless you've specifically talked to all of them and ask them what's up about it. But we can move off of this topic because this episode is about Viridian, and we should try to keep it as such.
Yeah. So at this point, I don't actually have that many kills. Jungle Viridian is more about his burst damage. He's only going to be able to follow up about halfway through a kill unless you're coming in at the end of a play. So, for me, I'm not going to be, I don't do as much at this point. I need a lot more burst damage. I need either my passion so that I can stay in the fight longer, or possibly my rage so that I can cut through their tanks, or then the burst option, which is divinity or potency if you really have to build a potency. That's where that play works. I think at about this much gold, I'm able to. I think I'm gonna wind up going with a passion for the lifesteal, and or I also might pick up some health. That's another thing on Viridian. Viridian does fairly well with a lot of health. His cooldowns are fairly low. He can cycle through a lot of them, pretty well. So there's a lot, there's good value in building health and health regen. Things like Defiance are really strong on him. Things like Rebirth are really strong on him, because as an assassin, your damage, the longer you stick around to do your damage, the better. Man, this Reyna bit is still going on.
Yes, yes, it is.
Oh, debates in the chat are always good. We want debate. The more we talk about things, the more we'll know, and the better we'll get in a lot of these situations. So for the most part, our team has really good control. We actually just killed 4 of them. Kills are, I think, about even. I think it's 18-18, and our team has got tower control plus striders. We're able to back out, and we only really have one main tank on the Reyna. Everyone else is sort of we're looking to catch people off guard, looking to initiate in from the sides. Yeah, I am gonna go in and finish passion, and I think maybe no, I might go with rage. I don't know. I don't remember what I picked in this game. Yeah, passion into aggression. So that
These
I can
games
finish.
were a while back, weren't
Yeah,
they?
these games
It's like
were about a week
they were
ago.
on the day, like
Viridian came out.
either Tuesday or Wednesday, right?
Yeah, this was Tuesday. This was the day Viridian came out.
Okay. Yeah, so this was a while back. Anyway, their team is just barely trying to hold on to what they have right now, and the game wasn't necessarily convincing in terms of the kills. As you can see, the kills are not a very big spread between the two teams. However, One thing that our team did do a very good job on is pushing. And as you can see, we've been able to take control of objectives like Para. We've been able to force action around the map and basically, outplay them in more ways than just let's get kills, which in any MOBA is a very important strategy. Like right now, you can see that we've only lost one tower and we've taken out all of theirs, or one binding, and then we've taken out all of theirs, and we have control of all the spirit wells, and we also got last para, even though the next para is going to be out fairly soon.
Yeah. I don't remember. They might surrender. They might have surrendered this game a little ways in. Past this, there's a little bit of rage. I think their Forest was very, very mad, and God, I don't like Forest. I find him to be an assassin with very, very little to offer the team. He's a poke assassin. Like, he's not like the standard I get in your backline kill you assassin. He's like gonna show up and pick up like a cleanup assassin, but with only really one dash. So we have a free reign to take Para. We've got everything warded up. Parasite for Viridian, he kind of has a little bit of an extra secure. You can use your E to be that extra bit of secure. Make sure you have a knife inside of Parasite before you do it, and E and Vanquish at the same time. That'll give you a little bit of extra damage boost. It's not an execute. It's not health percentage, so it's not as strong as say Petrus secure or who has the other really strong secure? Is it just Petrus?
Petrus has a really strong secure, I think. Well, a lot of shapers have a really strong secure on para. Just basically, if you play League of Legends, sort of the Lee Sin sort of thing, where you have an execute, like Lee Sin's Resonating Strike, combined with Vanquish/Smite at the same time, can help you get more damage off than any opposing Smite. Which I'm trying to think of other junglers in this game that can do that really easily, and there aren't really too many because. The thing about Petrus is that his is percentage damage, where any shaper can sort of use an ability while they smite or while they vanquish, but generally it's not as good at securing the para than most other shapers.
Yeah, I think it's really very much down to Petrus. So yeah, as you guys saw, I did a little bit of slip dodging around a little bit of the edge of one of the cores, and again, the power of being able to isolate a target with Viridian's ultimate is sort of key. As an assassin, you can push your squishy out of the way and finish them off. You can also, as a jungler, take a little bit more of an initiator role, tank up a bit, and use it to isolate out a priority target. Even if you're not going to be able to kill them, keep them out of the fight and leave them alone. You could push that, AD carry out of the fight and just, slip dodge away from them. So yeah, that's the show, guys. We actually are ending pretty much on time.
Again, please, someone submit something.
Yeah, please submit us some clips,
This is
guys.
week 6, and
If you guys
we haven't had a
if
clip
you
that
guys
wasn't ours.
ever stream at all, if you have OBS, it's not that complicated of a program. Get it installed. Get us some plays to talk about. Get us something that isn't our own plays. We don't mind recording our own footage, but it'd be better to get stuff from you guys. There's the link that has been put into the chat. Send a clip to that email so that we can talk about something other than our own plays, because it'd be better to get some extra analysis in.
And if you guys need help, say if you play a certain shaper and you go up against another shaper, or you're put in a situation that you don't quite know what to do, or hey, what can I do better in this situation? Send that in and we'll give you advice on what you could be doing better. But all in all, we need clips that aren't ours. This is weird, talking about our own games over and over and over again.
Also, like Fang, pick a fight with us. We don't mind it. I will have debates over things, because that's the only way we figure things out for the better. we talk about them, we go over the finer points, we debate both sides of it, and we'll learn more about the game, and we'll all get better at the game the more we talk about it. And that's one of the things that makes MOBAs great, is that there are, granted, sometimes there are things that are really strictly down to the numbers, but there are other things that are complete strategies, things of preference, things that come down to, here's a situation where it's better, here's a situation where it's not. Give us those kinds of things. Send us things, post things off of the Reddit thread for the show. If you guys have quotes on the show, put comments off of the YouTube of the show that'll go up later. If there was something that we said and you want to go back and refute it, or go back and question it, or go back and comment, do that on the Reddit thread or the YouTube.
And one thing to add on to that is that when you do try to do that, make sure you keep your point or your debate as close to as close to what a forum debate would be. Basically, talk about the facts, but we don't want to know, I'm this person. I am
lay us out some
champion tier.
lay us out some facts
Don't
about the game.
don't convince
Here are the finer
why.
points.
Don't try to convince us of why you should be listened to. Convince us of your point. Don't say, you guys should listen to me because I'm a great player, or do anything like that and cite why you were a good player. Rather, just give us the straight up facts as to what you're presenting. Say, all right, so if we're talking about, I don't know, Renzo, list off, all right, so we have his stun, blah, 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 you can do this with his stun, it scales like this, so if you do the math, this happens, and it could be used in a play like this. Rather than, you should use Renzo this way, I know because I'm a champion tier player. There are very different arguments there, and just try to keep it as professional and as close to a forum debate as possible, because that honestly breeds the best sort of learning from either party. Alright, so Millis has a question. I'm so glad we get questions, because questions are awesome. His question is, why can Renzo's nipples cut diamonds?
Because Renzo is the most beautiful man that ever was.
Have you seen Renzo's chest? Alright, if you don't have anything to discuss right now, Pure Adrenaline asks, would you mind talking about the stronger Dawngate supports at the moment? I main support in League of Legends, and I love a lot of them. I guessed that Dibs and Mina are the best, but I suck at Dibs so
Don't
far,
play Dibs.
And would appreciate advice. Wait until I'm done reading it. God damn it, Braun. I know you hate Dibs, but damn. But I suck at Dibs so far and would appreciate advice. I really like Renzo, and he's my best shaper at the moment, but I feel like he's weak against Dibs/Mina.
If you're trying to play utility supports, Zeri's pretty good, and Mina's pretty good, and so is Dibs. Dibs is actually very, very strong.
A lot of it just depends on what your playstyle is too. So let me ask this: what kind of support do you like? Do you like tanky supports? Do you like straight up utility supports, or do you like supports that can also end up doing a lot of damage towards the later game? Because those are really the big three echelons of support. I'm pretty sure that's not the right word to use there. It might have been, but
variations.
I just
flavors.
like saying echelons.
I like Zeri. Zeri is a lot of fun. If Zeri is played properly, she has the potential to save a lot of people. She's got really good poke. I would not pick her against anybody with hard dive, because she's fairly immobile. But up against a team that's running things like a Vex, that's running things like a Nissa, that means neither carry has jump potential. If they're not running any heavy assassins and pretty much they just have to run at you, Zeri has a lot of potential to slow down plays. If she's up against a Volek, she can hit Volek in the face with paint and slow him down. If she's up against jungler-wise, I don't really like her against Freya. If you're going up against things that are dive like Freya and Petrus and Salus, then Mina's one of your stronger ones. Dibs is pretty strong. Amaranth is pretty strong. Desi, stupid strong. Anybody who walks a Desecrator, like Fang just put in there, those are some of the really, really good supports. Kel is very, very good. Calm is good if you're really good at him. If you wanna get Calm, I play Zeri because I played Zeri back when she originally came out at the start of the game, so I still like playing her. I wouldn't pick her over any of the ones that Fang has put up on the top. But if you're gonna play Calm, really learn Calm. He's basically a damaging support that says I need to hit every skill shot, every single one.
And sorry, not Mina. Azeri's strengths. One of Azeri's strengths is an instant cast CC, an instant cast silence. Instant cast is something that doesn't appear in the numbers, but is also very strong, especially if you combo it up with Chaos. Given the Chaos nerfs, it's actually not Zeri in general got nerfed from the Chaos nerfs because that was one of the big points in running her as a tactician. So pure adrenaline. You like supports with shields and displacements. Honestly, that's Mina. Like Mina is probably the best shaper for you in that respect. Mina is an absolutely amazing tactician. She's got poke. She's got fear is sort of a displacement, and she's also got shields. And she's basically one of the hardcore supports of the game. She's very utility. And Renzel's also a really good shaper for you as well, which you've already mentioned there as well. So yeah, I agree with Mina. I agree with Renzo. Those two are really cool.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to get a better hang of it. Once you have a much stronger control of your support skills, branch out to some of the more complicated ones like Calm. Like Mara's not too complicated. I'd say Calm, Kel, and Dibs are have some of the best potential to make a lot of plays. Calm can snare people down. Same with Amaranth. If you've got the balls to do it, blinking with an Amaranth ultimate is gonna set up a lot of really good kills. Um, yeah, Mina Viridian, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm glad a lot of you guys are coming out. Unfortunately, you missed most of the show, and right now we're just talking about things after the fact. But
Yeah,
again, if you guys have more
Calm is
questions,
dangerous as hell. Like I suck at Calm support. I wish I were good at him, but because he has a fear that's ranged and AOE. He's got a really really strong snare. The ultimate is very very useful, and he can bait and juke out a lot of abilities with very very late dashing if done properly. It's really really dangerous to see what happens when someone knows how to play Calm properly and you're not ready for it. You'll get juked and wind up in a lot of snares you didn't think were gonna happen.
all right. So here's a fun question for everyone in chat as well. This is directed towards anyone who's watching, will watch, or even Braun. Which is more fabulous, Renzo, Calm, or Zalgus? Which is the most fabulous in your opinion? And I'll give it a few seconds because
Renzo's most fabulous,
there's a
Calm is
little bit
most
of.
glorious.
Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what people end up thinking in that respect.
Oh
So
yeah,
we'll just
Millis,
give it a few seconds for people to
that ping
respond.
will kill your Calm play. Calm takes a lot to be able to make him do what he's got to do. Um,
All right, one vote for Renzo and one vote
you
for
need a lot of
Zalgus.
good micro, and you need a lot of good game sense to make Calm do what he's got to do. You can do it, and you'll hit as hard as someone who's been farming all game, and you won't be a lot of the time people will forget that you should be a primary target. You can go in and out of fights. You can get around the backside of people. Your ultimate has a lot of potential to set up for things, especially in corridors. Can make Calm really really dangerous, especially land the AOE fear, drop the ultimate, suck a lot of people in. You'll do one, a ton of damage, and two, he's got a lot of hidden displacement in the fear and the fact that the ultimate brings everybody into one point and can actually bring people, if they are on one end, a little bit further to across the middle of the center point of the ultimate. Kind of like seeing an Oriana ultimate from when people will be moved to a weird side of it.
All right, so Millis says, "Kill the heretics who do not think in Renzo's chest."
Renzo is fairly good. All right, guys.
Renzo's chest comes for you.
Well, thanks for sticking around and talking a bit, guys.
Renzo is a friend to all children. That's like the best one. Renzo is a friend to all children. I don't like that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around, guys. I think we had a few more people sticking around to talk than we did during the middle of the show. But yeah, love to see you guys here back again when we run the next episode next week. come
Yeah,
back with more questions, more debates, all that kind
every
of
week
stuff.
Sunday, what is it? 5 p.m. Pacific time Sundays and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Sundays. You can click the follow button under the stream. It's at the bottom
Final
left.
question: do
You
you
know, if
believe
you're
in the
familiar with
armor
Twitch.
slash life regen builds are way too strong right now? They're kind of scary. I was watching, what was it? It was like 14 armor, 8 haste. 14 armor, 8 haste build on a Vex. I think this was Sheebs. And it's so hard to cut through that early armor. The life regen isn't a problem yet. Life regen can still be handled because everyone's still running Drain like it's their best friend. Um, so okay there. The armor I think is kind of scary strong. It'll be curious. I'll be curious to see what happens when everybody starts to really crunch out the numbers on it, especially once the game goes fully live. Waystone's finished all of their additional telemetry. We get some more Spirit Stones because right now there's a lot of for carries. There's really not that many great Spirit Stones, and a lot of the time you're better off running a hard set of just like armor haste, armor damage, armor life steal, that kind of stuff. But yeah, anyways, good question, Millis. And like I said, guys, we'll see you guys here back next week, same time, same Sunday, and I'll stream in between. Feel free to drop by. Tell me when a play is awesome. Tell me when I suck. Maybe I'll make some awesome whale mode plays. And please submit some clips, guys, if you manage to put any together. And we'll see you guys next week.